Welcome to the Sports MVT Insider, a platform where we are unrelenting in covering women in sports and of course celebrating their sporting achievements, whether they be big or possibly some of those small achievements as well. Now today we focus on the sport of swimming. Now there was a lady that represented South Africa recently at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, and she joins us today on the Sports MVT Insider. Her name is 𝗀𝗍𝗶𝗹. Rebecca, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here and to use this platform just to speak. I'm really blessed and I look forward to our chat.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm certain many people would love to find out a little bit more about this phenomenal athlete that we saw at the Olympic Games. But I would like for us to take a step back a little bit and start at the beginning of where you started your journey with swimming. How did you fall in love with the sport of swimming?
Funny story, I actually hated water. I wouldn't put my head in the water by myself until I was 6. My sister, on the other hand, was a month-old baby and she was being held in the shower and she loved water. And yeah, I grew up doing a lot of sports. My mom and dad gave me a variety. They said, try anything, try and just see what you love doing. And of course, being the little sister, I copied Abby, my older sister, in everything that she did. And when she asked if she could swim, I, of course, even though I feared the water, said, well, can I do this too, please? And yeah, I started swimming because of my sister. But I fell in love with it because as soon as you start doing it more and more, the technicality of everything and just the competitive nature of everything is just, I fell in love with the feeling I got training, racing, and just the whole mental space I was in every single day after being in the water.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. Now, I would love to talk about the switch because most of us, as you mentioned, your sister Abby, you start out doing the sport for fun and you're enjoying it. But tell me a little bit about what motivated you to make the switch to competitive swimming, because as you mentioned, that becomes a lot more technical, you're a lot more driven, and of course, you want to win gold medals.
Yeah, so that wasn't too difficult for me. I'm naturally a very competitive person. Yeah, trying to be the best in everything I can. I call myself an A personality, not just even in swimming. I wanted to do well at school. I wanted to do well in everything that I did. That's just who I am, and I want to be the best. So it wasn't very difficult for me to transfer into that competitive stage. And for me, the sooner I started racing, the happier I was because I love training. I absolutely love training, but the racing is why I do the sport. So, yeah, definitely not a difficult change for me.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the lessons. We hear so many athletes talk about the lessons that they learn from partaking in sport. What are some of the lessons that you've learned inside and outside the swimming pool?
You know, there's so many that one can actually learn from sports in general. But with swimming, it's quite a intense sport in the sense of you need to be at training 2 hours a day, twice a day. Plus, it's not just swimming. I do gym as well. So sometimes I'm training 5 hours a day. Now, when you're at school, how do you fit that in with your school curriculum, with projects, with everything? And somehow it just did. I made it work. I made time for everything. So it definitely taught me time management. It taught me discipline. I really did. I've always been a disciplined person, but knowing what it would take to try and be where I want to be, I knew that I had to be even more disciplined. I had to be determined and have persistence and just have this drive to succeed. And yeah, it also teaches you sacrifice. It teaches you to learn what you want and to make it happen. But yeah, the sport is, like I said, all sport, just it changes you. It molds you into the person that you want to be one day when you're doing a job or when you're running a household or a family. I mean, time management will be with me for the rest of my life, and just that will to succeed. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. Let's talk a little bit about major championships. Now, we would love for you to just take us through at least maybe let's say 6 hours or 24 hours building up to a championship. Maybe let's start at the morning, from the moment you wake up until you actually swim your last event. What goes through your head and what do you get up to?
Well, funny enough, when it comes to racing, the big competitions, it's obviously a few days long. So you can sometimes have an 8-day competition, a 5-day competition. And for me, the prep starts way in advance. Just being able to visualize those races a few weeks before, getting tuned, get those switch fibers going. But on the day of racing, I try and stay as relaxed as possible. Sometimes it's easier than other days. Some days it's pretty difficult to stay relaxed before a race. But yeah, I'm a swimmer who swims multiple events. Being a medley swimmer, an individual, yeah, I am. You have to be able to swim everything. So I can swim up to 8, 9, 10 events in a competition, and that's excluding relays sometimes. So I need to be able to switch on and switch off and be able to switch the focus and everything. But when I used to do that when I was small, my very first coach, 𝗀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹, always used to say to me, Bex, just take one race at a time. And now moving to Graham Hill, my senior coach, he's now also said to me, just take one race at a time. And just having that mentality of, don't worry about the next one. Your body's equipped, your body's ready to tackle any race that comes across, but just focus on one at a time. Your body will do the rest.
Let me take you back to 2017, and of course that was the Commonwealth Youth Games. What are some of the lessons that you learned from this particular Youth Games? Because of course that success built up to the success that we're currently seeing from you at this point in time.
Yeah, so like I said in the very beginning, I'm very much an A personality. I like to succeed, I like to win. I'm very competitive, but I'm also very focused. And I learned that I was just so serious. I was structured, I was so serious, and that's good to be serious, but sometimes it's not. So socially in that competition, I really took a bit of a knock. I came back, I mean, it was the best performance I'd ever done, which was fantastic and amazing, but I came back feeling really sad that socially, like with the swimmers and with the other people, I didn't actually give myself the opportunity to have a lot of fun with people around me. And I learned it was such an amazing thing to go through. I didn't think so at the time, but now looking back, I've learned to not be so serious. And that skill of, like I said earlier, switching on and switching off, knowing when to focus and knowing when to relax, keeps that balance of just a healthy mindset. And yeah, there's that saying, happy swimmer is a fast swimmer, and just keeping that balance makes you happy. So that's one lesson I will never, ever forget, is don't be so serious all the time, Bex.
Absolutely beautiful. Now you talk about a happy swimmer is a fast swimmer, and of course you made your debut at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. Take us a little bit through this debut, and of course you swam in the women's 200-meter individual medley, and of course also the women's 4x200-meter freestyle relay. How was this debut for you? Because I'm certain at your age you were beaming with excitement, and of course there was a touch of nerves.
Nerves. Absolutely. But yeah, it was, all I can say, it was a dream come true. It was almost my fairy tale story of my debut to my first Olympic Games. I set myself this goal when I first started racing at that young age, when I was so competitive. I said, I want to go to the Olympic Games, Dad, but I don't think I'll be ready for 2012, which was that year. I don't think I'm going to be ready for 2016, but maybe 2020, it will be a trick year. I'll have to make a plan around that. But I did. That's where the sacrifice came in. I went homeschooling. I did so many changes, moved to Durban, all of that in the mix of everything. And yeah, I can honestly say that, I mean, like I said, the month before was so emotional, whether I was going or not. And that 10-year dream, it's hard to let go if you weren't going. And yeah, I prayed and I said, you know what, God, I will still show up for the battle and I'll come to training. And I rocked up to training on that morning after I found out that there was like no way that I was going to be able to make the team. And the following Sunday, I got a video call from my coach saying, Bex, you in. You got an email. And I was like, what? No, this is insane. Please don't joke with me, Graham. I can't deal with this. He was like, no, it's serious. And he said, for the 200 IM. And I was like, oh my word, it's an individual too. And then he said, sorry, I'm getting another call. And then he phoned me back and he was like, Bex, sorry, it's also the 4x200 free relay. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, you know what, God, thank you. Like, that's all I could think. The whole time I was at Olympic Games was, wow, God, like, you've had me through this. You gave me the vision at the beginning. And that's why I say it's a fairy tale story of, it's just an awesome testimony of how it's been challenging and it's been tough, but yeah, the persistence came through. And yeah, I just, as soon as I was on the block, I was like, I say everything, and I was like, it's okay, Bex, it's fine, like, you know. And I stood on the block, and something inside, I felt like I was about 8-year-old again, and I felt like, oh my gosh, Becky, you're at the Olympic Games! Oh my gosh! And I had like this like fangirl moment, but it was just something I'll never ever forget. I'll never forget it.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. And thank you so much for sharing that story with us, because I think that truly makes the Olympic debut so beautiful.